Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're kind of continuing the Made in the USA um, footwear suite of reviews, and we're going to talk about this New Balance 998. This is the 2-year anniversary of these things. So I got them on 5/25, actually a couple days longer than 2 years. 5/25 of 2019. You can't see in there, but I'll show you. I usually write in marker when I pick these things up. And I just wanted to show you how they've held up. Now, this has been a great shoe. I had heard that the Made in the USA New Balance had kind of a much more durable materials and just a higher quality on all levels. So I will say it has performed pretty well. A couple little issues that I'll talk about here. We'll put them back on the bench here, and you can take a closer look at them. Now, before this, I had been wearing, as probably most folks are wearing, is the just a standard 574. Really like these shoes, but after a while, I guess I'm pretty tough on these things. But you can see they really wear down fairly quick, at least for me. And recently, I've been wearing again. This is another New Balance. This is just the, I think this is the 255 numeric. Kind of just like a basic shoe here. I like to just leave these things laced up and pop them on my feet when I head out of the house quickly here. Good summer shoe. So let's get back to the 998s, and we'll put them back on the table and you can take a closer look at them. Alright, so let's take a look at these things. The first thing everybody's probably interested in seeing on a 2-year-old pair of these 998s is the soles. So let's see how these things, if you can get a kind of a closer look here. There was actually writing on the heel here, which is, I think it just said New Balance 998. And you can just maybe kind of make that out. So you can see that it's had some good wear, but there's plenty of, I mean, in my book, somebody would probably get rid of these things, but in my book, it still has some wear. Now, an interesting thing here is, even when they were new, this is foam. I don't know if this is this absorb or absorb or whatever they call it, but this little cutout here is foam. It's not rubber. So that's why you can see that this is kind of taken a little bit of a beating as the rubber sole has kind of worn down. It's been starting to chip away at this foam, and that's going to chip away super easy. So I think as the sole wears down, this is gonna start getting worse and worse and worse. But yeah, for the most part, you can see the thickness in these things. It's still plenty thick. I think it's got some time left in it. Probably should have done it before, so I had something to compare it to. But yeah, I'd say it's still got a ways to go after 2 years. Next thing is the insoles. And as you might imagine, these things are battered. I have these things on my feet probably about 60% of the time, maybe more even. I've worn these. I've really worn these things a lot. But yeah, you can take a look at this insole here. It is about cooked. It is really crushed, and even that profile probably doesn't give justice to just how whooped these things really are. I mean, there's really, as you squeeze these things, there's really not much deflection in them at all. And again, the heel looks much thicker, but where it counts here, where the heel falls, and you can see it's kind of worn away there, it's really crushed down. So I guess you could get a new insole. But yeah, this is I don't know, this is hundreds if not thousands of miles of wear. So I would imagine that it's probably to be expected. And you can see, it's so funny, you can see my heel fall here, and I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but you can see almost every every toe in there. Let's see if you get the sunlight on it, or the light just right on it. You can see the ball of my foot and all the toes. So it's pretty worn in. We'll put those back in there. Probably the biggest issue with these things that I see so far that would really say to me, hey, these things are on their way out, is probably my fault. I leave these things tied almost all the time. And, that's probably one of the worst things that you can do, is to just grab a shoe and ramrod it onto your foot already tied. So unfortunately, I do that a lot with these things, and it's really taken its toll on this I don't know what you call this, the collar. As you can see, it's basically just worn away all of that material at the back there, down to that old school foam. And I would imagine it's looking super thin in there, so I would imagine that's probably not long for this world before it just goes right through. But again, that's probably my fault. This is pretty much where, you use your finger as a shoehorn, and you can see it's pretty much exactly what it is. It's in that exact profile of my fingers. So when I grab it to jam my foot in there, it just kind of over 1,000, putting them on 1,000 times, it really has done its thing on these things. So. Again, that's a wear part, but probably not New Balance's fault. Probably my fault. But there are some other applications here where it must rub, even on the end of this tongue. Just that same thing. It just worn away that fabric down to that old school foam. So, it's definitely worn, but it's got some time. And the cool thing is that collar, it keeps its shape. It's got a good shape still, after all that abuse of just kind of smashing your foot in. And 10 times, 9 times out of 10, you tuck it a little bit. You have to pry it out. So, yeah. Well, actually, this one's worse. You can see this one goes down to the. See if I can get the light in there. Jeez. Yeah, that one's in a little tougher shape in the collar there, for the same exact reason. Using that finger as a shoehorn. So, my fault, potentially, but not a deal breaker. Now the other thing is, let's see here, the Absorb. I don't know why I call it Absorb, like it's some kind of 80s fitness machine or something, but Absorb is the cushioning, and that is holding up really, really, really good. You can see in this area here, it started out gray, so it's not filthy. You can see it's got that kind of a darker color, but yeah, it's not dirty. It actually started out that color. But yeah, the back here not crushed. It doesn't have any creases. Now there is, I don't know if this is that same cushioning here, but it is pretty creased and smashed and torn up. So, again, not anywhere near toast, I'd say, but just showing its age. The other thing on this shoe is, I don't know if I did something to them, or I don't know if I dropped something on the toe, but it's getting really thin right on the front here, and it has torn, and it's tearing away from I guess this is suede, but you can see there in the toe box, it has really started to fray, so I should probably get a couple stitches in here and try to shore that up before it kind of completely just takes over this whole area. So again, I don't know if I did that, or it does look like it's just separating out of there, which is what it is. I guess it's to be expected. This is a kind of a soft, like almost like a silky type mesh. So yeah, it's a really comfy shoe. It's a little clunky for me. I've been used to, even by 574 standards, this is a much clunkier, kind of a Frankenstein clotting sneaker, especially in a size 12 here. It's a clunky shoe, but I guess that's what you're going for when you get these retro runners. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. Here's a side by side of these things. You can see the soles. They got the same kind of issues on both. Getting there after 2 years, but the materials, the suede is held up pretty darn well. I've worn these a lot, but I have not worn them on days where it's super rainy or I mean, we all know the days that you're going to batter your footwear. Rainy days, if you're going somewhere where you know it's going to be muddy. I mean, I haven't chosen these shoes on those days. So, yeah, it's been a great shoe, and I don't know, I'm going to keep wearing them. I've worn them a little less, like I said, since I got those. It's summer here now, and these kind of don't do it with shorts. So, at least I can't pull them off with shorts. Somebody out there probably can. But yeah, I highly recommend them. I think they were $175, which you always talk to people and they tell you, wow, $175. That's so much for a pair of sneakers. But nobody ever really bats an eye at those like a high end, like an Air Max, Nike Air Max. I mean, there's no way you can't get into that shoe for even $175. So, yeah, this is well within the realm of those higher end Nikes, or really any of them, Adidas, whatever, Ultra Boost. I haven't had many of those shoes, so you guys who are out there who rock Ultra Boost or any of those other sneakers, you can tell me that these are junk compared to them, but I can't imagine that an Ultra Boost sneaker would do much better than this after 2 years wearing them almost all the time. So yeah, I'm really happy with how these have stood up, and I think probably next time I'll get maybe like a 997. It's a little less clunky. That end looks so small when you kind of put it up against a more modern, or like a more normal sneaker. I mean, there's a 574. I mean, it is, I don't know, it feels much more chunky compared to those. So, you know, maybe that's what you're going for. All right, well, thanks for checking in. We'll see how much longer these things go. I'm going to keep wearing them, and maybe we'll take a look at them again in another 2 years. Wouldn't that be something? Thanks for tuning in. See ya.